Hello, I'm Anne Lovett, and I want to talk to you today about the principles of homeopathy. And before I do that, I'll just quickly run through what I've managed to find out about the principles of conventional medicine online. It's actually quite hard to find clearly defined principles in the way that we have in homeopathic medicine. But some of the sites I've looked at, the scientific sites, basically they say that modern medicine is a system of healthcare built on scientific evidence, clinical testing, and standardized practice rather than tradition or intuition. Modern medicine, we know, compartmentalizes the body very, very much. So you might find when you go to medical school, you're being taught internal medicine, surgery, pediatrics, geriatrics, psychiatry. Preventative medicine is very much the sphere of vaccination and public health campaigns. So what's missing, I think, and why homeopathy is such a fantastic complement to modern medicine is that homeopathy sees a much more holistic view of the body. And our principles are very, very well defined. I tried to find a little bit more about what the scientific evidence principles are. It's very, very difficult because actually there's no widely accepted notion of what a scientific theory actually is. And I can put some links up to the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, where there's quite an interesting article about the philosophy of medicine. It's very long, but it's quite interesting. But in homeopathy, the principles are very, very clear and quite easy to grasp. They are encompassed as the job of the homeopath. Number one, to restore health, to act and not to theorize. So we're not going to talk about our ideas about what disease is, or going into the germ theory or anything else, or try and explain what a disease is. We're just there to help, support and heal. I'll support you on your healing journey. Number two, to restore health gently and permanently in the shortest and safest manner. This is the highest ideal of therapy. We must act according to clear and comprehensible principles. These principles were laid out over 200 years ago by Dr Samuel Hahnemann. Number three, we need to understand what must be cured, have knowledge of the disease and knowledge of the remedy pictures. We must know how to select and apply the correct remedy, the correct dose, and we must be able to see the obstacles to cure. Only then are we true and thorough physicians. Now, the obstacles to cure might be trying to treat someone with chronic respiratory issues and we find out they live in a damp building. So, knowing more about the person than just the cough is crucial. Number four, we are preservers of health. We must see and know what disturbs health and how to remove it. So that might go back to obstacles of cure, but it's also, again, allows us to look at the wider picture of lifestyle. Number five, we must determine the most probable exciting cause in acute diseases and the most significant phases in the evolution of chronic diseases, enabling us to understand the underlying cause, which is often a chronic miasm. Now, I'll talk more about miasm in another podcast, but understanding the underlying cause, this is a fundamental principle of homeopathy. So important. And I had a rheumatoid arthritis case recently which resolved so beautifully because I managed to elicit exactly why the symptoms of inflammation began in the first place. And once you know that, and this was very much a psychological cause, once that was addressed and reflected upon and the right remedy chosen in relation to the stress that caused the illness, then the person came immediately out of those inflammatory symptoms. And so it can be really remarkable. It's really crucial, in my opinion, in chronic disease to find out when and why it started. Number 6, we must be an unprejudiced observer. This is really important. So we provide, as homeopaths, a safe place so that you can tell us exactly what we need to know. We need to know a lot of detail about you. We need to understand your triggers. And what we don't do is we don't ever lead you. We don't ever surmise that we know what you might be thinking. We really want to use exactly the words that reflect your inmost state. 7, the totality of symptoms must be the main, even the only means by which the disease allows us to find the appropriate remedy. So the person's picture of disease, the overall holistic picture, is the only way to find the solution. We must look at the totality, and every person is completely unique, and that's what makes homeopathy so incredibly powerful. So those are the principles. We have adhered to those in homeopathic practice for many, many years, and will continue to do so in the future. If you haven't yet tried homeopathy, seize the day.